Hey guys, welcome back to another guitar tutorial. So today I'm going to be telling you how to make music sound like music. So I'm going to be playing this piece, it's a classical piece by Andres Segovia, called Estudio Sin Luz, which means study without light. So this is what it sounds with no musical interpretation. Right, so it maintains the same tempo, same dynamics all throughout. And I mean it's in 3/8, so oh no, it's in 6/8. So I mean it's not really something that you there's a lot of flexibility with it, but if you play it normally, it wouldn't sound very good. But since it's in 6/8, there's a lot of things you can do with it. Since 6/8 is a really flexible time signature, where a lot of stuff that you can manipulate a lot of stuff without it sounding too wrong. Like you can like rhythm wise in 6/8 you can manipulate and change a lot of things without it sounding too off. So here's at least my version of how I decided to play it. Right, and that's the first page of it. So basically, what are the things that I changed? So one of the things I changed was dynamics, obviously. Um, so like normally it would just be right, but if you add dynamics in, it's like dynamics is like how loud or soft you get. I'm not gonna explain that in too much detail because anyone who's watching this should understand the concept of dynamics. So basically, what it is, I like to think of it in terms like you sort of intertwine tempo and dynamics to sort of have this illusion of contracting and expanding. It's a pretty abstract concept, and it's not going to be the same for everyone. You can think of it as expanding or contracting. You can think of it as up and down. You can think of it as, I don't know, liquid to solid. There's 100 different ways you can think of it. But basically, here's sort of like if you sort of entwine tempo and dynamics like that, like here. That's how I like to think of it. I like to think of it as expanding and contracting, especially in the context of this piece specifically. Now, I mean, again, you can think of it as highs and lows. You can think of it as solid to liquid. Solid to liquid's another way I like to think of it. Sort of some parts of the piece are really staccato, and they're like solid, right? Staccato, very loud, and forte, strong. That's the literal meaning of forte. Forte is Italian for strong. So some parts are really strong and they're really definitive, while other parts are more like they're softer, they're more fluid, like here. Right, you can hear the sort of liquid and solid. I don't need to tell you where that is because once you start thinking about it like that, you can start hearing where it is without me telling you where exactly the parts that I chose to go to liquid to solid or compress and expand. Right, you can hear those without me telling you where they are. Now, again, in the context of this piece, I like to think of it as expanding and contracting because mainly, as you can see here, like I'll explain it on this one because it's a difficult concept to grasp, but once you grasp it, it helps you interpret music a lot better. Like here, right? You hear it going up, it's contracting, right? But for a second, right here, contracting, right? That creates space, and I added that extra. Now you can notice in the normal piece it wouldn't be. Right, I added an extra beat there on purpose to make it feel sort of spaced out, because so it would feel a bit more expanded, right? You can hear it, and then you speed up again after that initial slowdown for the two G's there, right? And you can sort of even like lift your head up, and like you can sort of stand a bit straighter during that, because it goes with the music. You can feel it. And then that it's compressing. And then that's really expanded. That's really sort of expanded. It's diluted, right? Basically, that's how I think of it. Right? So, again, there's a bunch of different ways you can think about it. Highs and lows is a really basic way to think about it, but for like a beginner, it's the easiest way to think about it. Like high, low, high, low. Right? So there's 1,000 different ways you can think about it, but I think the key is just to find two different states of music, or two different states of being, that you think sort of resonate with your playing style and how you think of things. And then based on that, assigning those different parts to different places of pieces of a piece. And now, again, normally you can look up videos of the piece online too. The piece that I'm playing is Studios and Lose. Normally it's played really slow. Like even if you play it with some expression, it's like. I don't know. I just find it too slow. Now I have a habit of taking things fast, so that might be it. But in my opinion, that's a little too slow. So I like, and again, the whole point is the tempo being malleable. Now, and again, this is how I approach any piece of music. Everything about it is always malleable. There's nothing you can't change. If it sounds good to you, odds are it's gonna sound good. Right, and you could hear that sort of contrast, right? The whole point is contrast, not just dynamic contrast, not just contrast tempo-wise, but if you can figure out how to intertwine both of those, tempo and dynamics, if you can figure out how to intertwine those into one state, that's where it actually starts getting a bit better. Now, there's two more pieces. That's a really advanced piece, Studios and Lose, but I've got two more pieces that are a little bit more basic. One of them is Funky Juan. It's a pretty interesting piece, actually. I found it recently. It's grade 3. That Studios and Lose was grade 8, but Funky Juan is grade 3, and it's really, honestly, it's like one of the, like, in my opinion, it's one of my favorite pieces. Here's how it goes normally. Right, and then it just goes on. Now, this is a blues piece. It's a jazz piece. It's obvious that it has some elements of jazz. If it's not fully jazz, it has some elements of jazz. So one thing that stood out to me when I heard it instantly, there's no swing. Now, almost every jazz piece should have a swing, or at least some element of a swing, but this piece is lacking it. So the first thing I did was add a swing. Right, and the second thing I had was add that sort of. right? Because the whole point of blues is being unpredictable, right? That's one measure. Now I just added an extra measure onto that. Now that slide is unpredictable, but you wouldn't expect it to drag on another measure. Now you could expect it to stop here and then do something to go back to the original thing, but you wouldn't expect it to go on another measure, right? Right? You wouldn't expect it to go like that, and that's the sort of thing that makes jazz and makes blues what they are. Now, I'm not an expert in jazz or blues, so I wouldn't know, but that's what I think, at least. Now, third thing I did actually, for that second repetition of that. Right, added that. Right, that's one of the better parts about the piece. That's what better things that I did in that piece, I think. Yeah, other than that, it's a really nice piece. There's not much you can do with it. I mean, I did do something to the ending. Normally the ending would go like... Yeah, I don't exactly remember. I'm playing all of this from memory, so I don't exactly remember it, but I know I added like a sort of chromatic in the bass notes, like... I don't know, it goes like that, but I added some kind of chromatic into the bass notes, so again, it gives that aesthetic of of jazz, right? Because the whole point of jazz is that it's based off of chromatics, it's based off of unpredictability, so adding chromatics would add to that unpredictability, right? Unpredictability. Now, the second piece is also a grade 3 piece, is Grasshopper Guiro. I'm sorry, but this is a really boring piece. There's not much you can do with it, purely because... I mean, A, it's in the key of C major. B, it's all in first position. C, there's not much breathing room in the rhythm. It's a really boring piece, and the only way I figured I could save it was to add an ending to it. I like adding endings to pieces that I can't do much with. Like, for example, a Tarantella. Besides adding dynamics of that, of course, I added an ending to that piece because I love that piece. That's one of my favorite pieces by far. But because of the tightness of the rhythm, there's not much you can do to that piece. So I added an ending to it with like playing around with octave. Right? Added an ending to that with playing with octaves, and then yeah, it's if you can add a good ending to it, that's the whole point of the piece. Like here, this is the normal piece. Yeah. Now, I added a modulation at the end to go to C sharp minor. Like, here, you know what? I'll get the piece, one sec. One sec, let me find the script. There. Here's the piece of music, shoot. Right, there it is. So, this is how it goes normally. And then it goes to A minor. And then it goes back to this part. Watch this. Right, I added a little modulation into C sharp minor, right? And it goes to sort of a slightly more cinematic vibe. going back to C major, and that's what you'd call it, a modulation. When a piece goes to a certain key, like in the middle of the piece, then that's what's called a modulation. And then it modulates back to C major. But yeah, that's how you make music sound like music. Honestly, yeah, that's the three main things. Just sort of, I know a bunch of people, they like a bunch of guitarists specifically, but also other types of music. They have a habit of like sort of thinking of tempo and dynamics as two separate things, which honestly, in my opinion, isn't the right way to think about it. You have to think of them sort of unified. Like they are separate things. Don't get me wrong, and sometimes it helps to think about them as separate things, but thinking about them as one thing, I don't know what you would call it, but thinking about those two as one thing and sort of unifying them into one concept in one state helps you sort of make the music more cohesive. Like imagine us like here. I'll try and play this. I don't know if I keep it playing like I don't know if I even can like a slower loud part and a faster quiet part. Yeah, I don't know. I can't even play that. It's just hard to think about for me. Like the fact that getting those two cohesive and getting that sort of state in your mind, not just thinking of them as two different things and not just thinking about them as one thing, but thinking of sort of like, okay, this is the high, this is the low, this is the solid, this is the liquid, this is the compression, this is the, I don't know, whatever you'd call it, deflation. But sort of thinking about them in the context of having two different states, but the two of them being one thing, the tempo and dynamics being one thing, and them having two different states. That lets you think about music a lot better, and that lets you interpret it a lot better. So yeah, thank you.